My name is Brian Brushwood, and may I introduce to you, your master of ceremonies, your political pundit extraordinaire, ladies and gentlemen, Justin Robert Young!
It's still a thing. So when I say thumbs up, everybody goes crazy, okay? Oh, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Politicsx live from Atlanta, Georgia at DragonCon. All right. I just realized this is a lot less impressive when I have to then go back over to my computer.
No, keep it
and
going.
fade
Keep it
down
going.
manually.
Just do a whole DJ
All right.
set.
Hey. I probably should have planned a show. All right. Welcome, everybody, to Politics. We are going to do a couple things that are a little bit abnormal for our show. Normally, obviously, it's a one-mic show where I just talk, but I'm not by myself. Today, I am joined by my brother-in-arms, my co-host on Night Attack. Everybody give a big round of applause to Brian Brushwood.
Huzzah!
And in fact, Brian, you actually might be the perfect guinea pig for what I want to do.
Is it put me in a onesie? Because I've already done that.
I want to tell a tale that PX3 listeners know very well, but you probably don't. And there are probably a few people that might listen, might not, but are indeed residents of this fine peach state of Georgia. That there's one dude.
One guy.
He's like, Kennesaw! That knows. All right, he booed Kennesaw if you can't hear it. I don't want to get into regional. That know about the current race for the governor of the state of Georgia. So, Brian, I want to walk you along through this experience, and I want to have some people, I'm going to borrow local Georgians and have you guys explain who is running in this race.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and get...
just tell me this guy in the back wearing a luchador mask and another onesie is one of the guys running for governor. That's all I want to believe.
He's just a fucking idiot. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You shouldn't address that way. All right. Oh, I swore. Hold on.
I prepaid it. Don't worry about it. I put $40 into that fucking box. So don't worry about it.
Oh, also, if you're here for families, leave. All right. So, I need somebody that feels confident that they can accurately describe the Democratic candidate running for governor. That is Stacey Abrams. Who feels that they can accurately describe? Are you a Georgia resident, sir? All right, come on up, everybody. What's your name? Thomas. Give him a round of applause.
Good job, Thomas.
He's got his state ID. I'm going to check it and put it on the internet. All right, there we go. Also, and this is the easier one, I need somebody who is also a resident in Georgia to be able to describe the candidacy of Brian Kemp. You, sir? All right, come on up.
The mere fact that there were 5 times as many hands for the second is intriguing.
Okay, apparently now I'm a bouncer and I'm getting paid off.
That's not real money.
That is not, okay. I'm legitimately checking IDs. Like I'm...
My name's Tom as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, give Tom a round of applause. So we have, wait, you're both Tom?
Yes. Yeah. He's Thomas.
Thomas and Tom.
Thomas and Tom.
So you can tell us apart.
Yeah.
There's nothing else that...
You guys are here at DragonCon.
Unlike a certain other Tom.
Unlike Fraud Merit.
Yes. Yes.
Boo, Fraud Merit.
Too soon?
Boo, Fraud
Too soon?
Merit.
All right. Now, don't defend him. Thomas, I need you to explain in a 30-second window the candidacy of Stacey Abrams and why she is important as a unique figure as a candidate for Georgia's governor.
So in the state of Georgia, she is an African-American woman running as a Democrat, which, if you know this state, that's not normal. That's not normal at all. And this is probably the furthest anyone has ever come of that variety in a race. That's really all I got.
There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, give him a round
Just
of
under the
applause.
wire.
That's what we needed.
28 seconds.
And unfortunately, that's pretty much going to be the end of us talking about Stacey Abrams. She's a fine candidate. This isn't about her stances. It's just that...
She was here yesterday.
Oh, she was here yesterday. Maybe I should have tried to book somebody. Is she a geek? Stacey, I'm sorry that we're not going to talk about your candidacy anymore, but you know who you're running against. Now, Brian, that seems like a historic,
fairly reasonable.
a reasonable
familiar.
sign of the times,
Yeah, sure.
2018.
Of course.
Long overdue.
Yeah.
A strong black woman running for the governorship of Georgia. Now,
Governorship.
her opponent is Brian Kemp.
Now, real quick, who's the incumbent?
No incumbent. They are both.
It's anybody's race.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
got it.
yeah,
All right,
the
all
old
right.
governor termed out.
Yeah.
Now open seat, jump ball. So here we go. Brian Kemp. I'm not even going to ask you to summarize Brian Kemp as a candidate. I need you to just summarize the first ad that put him on the national political radar. So I want you to just talk. You were talking to Brian.
Sure.
You just explained it. You
Tom.
just ran into
Tom.
Brian. Go ahead.
Oh,
Bri-
Tom,
oh my
what's
God,
going on,
Brian
man?
Rushwood, what's going on? How are you?
You're local, right? I got
Yes, sir.
questions.
Yes, sir.
What's going on with this governorship race?
Well, you got Stacey Abrams.
Yeah. No, I know
Democrat,
about her.
yeah.
She's
De-
a strong
Democrat.
black
We don't-
woman.
we
She's
don't
great.
talk about her, Georgia Democrats. We don't talk about Georgia.
Look, as a Brian, I want to know what the.
Yeah.
Tell me about the Brian
So
guy.
Brian Kemp, he beat out Casey Crazy Eyes Cagle for the Republican nomination.
Okay.
And I think what really drove it home was one of his early campaign ads.
Oh, I missed this. I'm in Texas. Go ahead.
So one of his early campaign ads, he talked about his truck that he would use to pick up all the illegals and take them back to Mexico.
Ooh.
And then he also talked about a young man that was dating his daughter and showed his shotgun to make sure that the young man knew how far to go with his daughter.
All right.
And that's all you need to know.
I mean, one sounds like a very tempting parental strategy.
So yes, if you are indeed in the like get her done style of like, well, not with my daughter,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Then yes, my shotgun's here. Don't get handsy, mister. A funny joke.
Sure.
Right? Not exactly as funny when you are pouring money into a campaign ad where you are sitting on one seat and a very nervous, fidgeting Jake is sitting on another, and he's saying, well, there's a couple things you need to know to be dating my daughter. What are they? And then he runs through his campaign, like, talking points.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, give Tom a round of applause. You guys can sit down. Thank you.
Is one of his campaign promises never farther than third base?
It might as well be, Brian. Because it ends with him saying, and what else? A strong respect of the Second Amendment. And Brian Kemp then takes a shotgun.
Okay, so the implication here is that
Yes.
the Second Amendment equals the right to threaten an unarmed
Yes.
person, minor, an unarmed minor with murder should he touch a booby.
Yes.
All right.
Your booby.
All right.
He then takes the gun, clicks it together.
Yeah.
A literal click-clack.
Yep. That always goes well.
Points it at the kid and says, I think we're going to get along fine. That was his first ad.
His following ad opens with him holding a noose.
Funny you should ask, Brian. Because his second ad involves hits including, this is me blowing up regulations while he smirks in the camera and has a cool guys don't look at explosion happen behind him. And then the famous moment where he says, this is my truck. I can use it to round up illegals and take them back to Mexico. Yup, I said it. Real thing that happens in his ad. By the way, he was the moderate on that issue because his Republican primary combatant got a full bus. Fuck you, pussy, and your truck. I've got a bus that by volume can bring more illegals back to Mexico.
I am trying to think of literally one instance of one person in any profession whatsoever that anything they say will be made better, followed up with, "Yep, I said it." It's just I'm sorry, it's carcinoma. Yep, I said it.
But the one thing that has happened, so he's brought Jake back on to another ad. This time he didn't point a weapon at him, which I think was probably a good idea, unless he was going to make that his bit of all the people he can point his gun at.
The only way to make this better is please tell me Jake is some kind of minority. That would be amazing.
No.
Oh,
Moving on.
okay.
But it has spawned a little bit of a hashtag in our community, and I want to see if I can get us on video all chanting it at the same time, because ultimately we in the PX3 community feel pity for Jake. Jake is just a young man trying to get along in this world, figuring out what it means to be a young adult.
Jake is not a blood relative. He's just trying to
He's literally
earn
just
his way into the
character that has been created in his narrative as the run for governor is there's this ancillary goofy side character of Jake, the guy trying to bang his daughter. So, without any regard for who you would vote for in the state of Georgia, I think there's one thing that across party lines we can all agree with, that it is an onerous position for a father to point a shotgun at somebody's chest when going through the very awkward early dating phases in life. And so we here believe that we should, what? Let Jake smash! So here we go.
I mean, shouldn't you be consulting with the daughter?
With consent, with consent, with consent.
I mean,
we're assuming.
I mean, at best, you should say, let Jake ambition to perhaps have the opportunity to, with consent, smash.
This is why Brian isn't on the show. So here we go. The more succinct version. 3, 2, 1. Let Jake smash. That's right.
Hey, man, it's hard to go a second round after that first one. Especially when it's all new and you're figuring it all out.
All right. Now, I always want to talk to the people that know the most about the subjects so I can be better informed. Is there anything that you, as Georgian voters, believe that I have missed in this race? All right, there is somebody. Come on up here.
Outside of
Actually,
one of the two competitors for the gubernatorial vote.
Where's the box here? All right, here we go. Hold on. I'm going to hit you with this. Go ahead and talk into the box.
Two juicy bits. I think the Democratic candidate, one of the things you guys missed was she's written romance novels, quite a few of them. And
hey, we have no problem with writing romance novels. For the record, we're cool with that.
I feel like there's a little bit juicier side to the Democratic candidate, but also on the Kemp side, he might be responsible for deleting all of the voting stuff related to that big Ossoff race.
Yes.
Yeah, lots going on with that. But just the Harlequin novel stuff, that's about it.
That's amazing. Thank you.
What,
sir, what's your name?
Kumar.
Kumar. Everybody give a big round of applause for Kumar. Thank you. Go ahead and toss that back up. Oh, yeah, that was the other thing is during the Republican primary, the losing candidate on the Republican side decided that the best way to get name recognition out for him was to make all of his ads about a Brian Kemp impersonator just getting dunked on by random Georgian citizens. So he would just be like, hey, I'm a fake Brian Kemp. And some old lady would be like, you suck. And he's like, oops, I eat my own butt. Ha ha ha. Vote for some other guy.
Tracks.
All right. I feel like that is what could catch Brian up on the Georgia's governor's race. Do you have any other questions?
I mean, I think I said everything just then.
Yeah.
Like,
I have one.
yeah. We have a question from the audience.
Sir.
Did this guy fix bacon on his shotgun?
Yes. No.
No, I won't vote for him now.
Okay.
I'm from Florida anyway.
Oh, he's from Florida anyway. Give him a round of applause for being from Florida anyway. By the way, that one's got a pretty good governor's race too. Did you hear about this? Literally the first night, you have the primaries, the Republican and Democratic primaries. Also in Florida, there is a African-American candidate, this time a guy. And the Republican candidate goes on Fox News the night before and says, and he's trying to be complimentary in his own weird way, in that, like, well, obviously he's a great speaker. He says he's very articulate.
Uh-oh.
He then says, hey, look, I watched the debates, the Democratic debates, and it wasn't my cup of tea, but I thought he was a fantastic performer. And if you think that those two are dog whistles, wait for this ear piercer. He then says that the progress made under the previous governor, Rick Scott, cannot be monkeyed around with by electing the Democratic candidate. If you were to rank how much of a fuck up that is on, like, literally your first 30 minutes of the general campaign, on a scale from 1 to 10, how much of a fuck up is that, Brian Brushwood?
It's so radioactive that I'm not even comfortable chiming in on a comedy political podcast about it. That's how radioactive that is. It's straight polonium in your jello.
Yes. It's just one of those things that's even, and then, like, look, politics is about gang warfare. You're always going to stand for the person that you want to win. That's just a part of the game. So immediately, you have a bunch of people that are, Republicans that, like, want to vote for Republican things that are like, well, that's used all the time. And look at all these other people that have used these things. And it's like...
So in other words, everyone says, oh, a hole? I have a shovel.
Yes. It's just like, how about we all move on and understand that he pooped his pants and then painted on the wall with it, and we can just move on to the next thing.
No, but really, this shows a lot of promise. I think he's really working with some abstract design.
Yeah. Well, there is one part of the show that is always fun to do live. To get back to our Georgia's governor's race, there are some numbers that we can review. Would you guys be interested in hearing about the Georgia governor's race, latest polls?
Wait, is this a pole dance? Are you calling a pole dance? He said, holding the moment alive, long enough for possibly some kind of sounder.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the only way that we discuss data science on the PX3 show. Ladies and gentlemen, can I please get a big round of applause for this, the...
Get on the floor if you got that booty.
Holy cow!
Dance.
This is a lot of money! My word!
This is a Gravis poll from July 27th to July 29th. Stepping up first to the stage, we have the Republican candidate. Let's get a big round of applause for Brian Ham. 44%.
Oh, that tepid response. And to think, his whole family's here.
But your headliner, the Democratic candidate, she would be the first African-American female governor of the state of Georgia. Let's give it a big round of applause with 46% of the vote for Stacey Abrams.
She's actually in the audience.
But wait, hold on. We're doing this shit live, right? So what do you say we double dip with another poll for the poll lands? This one is from July 19th to the 15th, and it's the exact opposite result. Coming up first to the stage, Stacey Abrams with 44%, and with 46%, let Jake smash. It's Brian Kemp.
Wait, what's going on? They already faced off against each other?
Oh, that was a bit harsh. No, it's close. It is really, really close. By the way, the margin of error on both those polls, I can't see on this thing, but it's certainly within 2% if it's statistically accurate. So yeah, this is a dead heat between like the most, I'm like almost outsized political comedy version
Sure.
of
I mean, it's carpetbagging Sheriff Arpaio showing up just suddenly. Like, it's Yosemite Sam made flesh. It's
basically, yeah. Versus, although again, he was the moderate one versus the guy who bought a prison bus to show how many more illegals he could take to Mexico by volume. But yeah, so this is like really, really one of the big ones to watch. And in fact, really, there's only one other gigantic race that's been making headlines over the past week, and I'm glad that Brian's here. This is a lot of money on the floor right now, by the way.
It's really weird.
I just want to roll around in it.
Really weird. I guess that's the thing is if you're in China, you just get to full-on counterfeit dollars and then just put a stamp on them, and then somehow that's legal?
No, there was a moment. So, by the way, for the audio listeners, there's a lot of very realistic-looking fake money on the floor. And while I was doing the pole dance, I was twerking while people threw money on me. Recommended. And I'm like, holy shit, am I rich? Like, I'll do this more often. But no, it's fake. So the other big race is, of course, Ted Cruz versus Beto O'Rourke in Texas. How many Texans do we have here?
Hi, I'm a Texan.
You are indeed a Texan. Yeah. From your perspective,
go on.
What is
Scott Sigler tearing it up?
What is your take on whether or not this is for real, the time that the Democrat wins in Texas past 1960?
I think the odds look really, really good. I'll tell you what, I am beginning to feel like a bit of a coward for voting third party. And because I'll never be faced with any winners or responsibility for anything that happens. I get to be that guy who's just always voting third party. And now I am approaching a decision gate where I have to decide. You know, it's a great heuristic. I vote my third party crazy person thing, and that's that.
Yeah. Well, because it matters more for you right now. Because the only way that a Democrat wins in Texas by the numbers is
it'll be a squeaker.
Latent Democratic voters who don't normally vote. Like, you need basically, if everybody votes in Texas, the Republican wins all the time just because there's more Republicans than Democrats.
Yep.
So you need sleepy Republicans, which traditionally, whenever you have all three houses of power, everybody likes to take a little naparoo. Like, it's just human nature. Everybody takes the foot off the gas a little bit. So you would expect Republican turnout to be down, but Democratic turnout is at an all-time high.
Right.
And man, are they putting the gas on like super teen idol, the new Ken doll who also agrees with your political leanings.
Sure.
Beto O'Rourke, like he is now, and by the way, the Republicans are doing everything they can to make him look cooler.
Yes. Okay. Can we talk about how that backfired?
Yes.
By the way, also I've already started on a framework for me to justify voting for Beto because I love gridlock. Because when the executive branch and the all the branches can't agree on anything,
yeah.
then the only thing that gets done is shit that is so obviously needing to get done that they would be in danger if they didn't do it. So I love gridlock in general, and so I'm thinking about voting
This
for
Brian self-rationalization has been brought to you by patreon.com/Justin R. Young. Or jury. I fucked up my own Patreon. Go ahead.
The GOP, what did they think was going to happen? What was behind the scenes? I want to know the unironic, like, we got him right where we want him. See this? Here he is, looking fucking awesome in a punk band.
Yeah.
Once the voters see this, got him. And they're like, hey, should maybe we take a look at what Ted Cruz looked like at the exact same age? I'm sure it was fine.
Yeah. So if you don't know what Brian's talking about, they released video of Beto on a public access channel back in the early aughts, late 90s, I guess.
Yeah, he full on toured. They toured.
He's like best
Western
friends
Europe
with like
and-
the at the drive-in guys. Like he apparently has legit Austin or Texas rock like credentials, and Ted Cruz decided
Which,
that.
by the way, if you're looking for a largely non-political way to move the needle, saying Austin original Texas punk touring rock star, not a bad way to appeal to a broad base.
Not only does it do that, but it appeals to exactly who you don't want to give a shit about the election. Like, again, it's only liberals in Texas that need to be motivated out of their house to go vote. That's the only way he wins.
Right.
If literally Ted Cruz's ad should just be like, what election? I don't, news to me. I mean, I don't know, maybe, what is it, a Wednesday? Like, he should just be actively denying the fact that an election's happening.
Yes.
And then just by happenstance, by motivation, more Republicans will just go to the polls and vote for Ted Cruz, and that'll be it.
Right.
But instead, they're like, look at this pretty, amazing rock star guy. What a piece of shit, am I right?
He probably skateboards around a Whataburger.
Yeah.
Good thing
Oh,
there's
look.
no video of.
Oh, that's him skateboarding. He is like the Texas Trudeau, though.
Absolutely.
Because he's at some point, he's gonna say something that's like, "Whoa, Jesus! Like, who are you?" But no one's gonna know because he's just like right now, he's MTV.
Yep.
He's just all he has to do is like stand there and look and have the light glint on his face at a certain angle and be like, "Sup, girl?"
I mean, but also, like, for all we know, Ted Cruz really is an amazing mime. Maybe he should explore that.
All right. I think it's about the time that we can open up the floor for questions. If anybody has a question, we can throw this box here.
Yeah.
Anything is open. Of course, we are on the watch for whether or not there will be a wave here in the 2018 off-year election. So, okay, questions or comments? We can start with the man who's also from Florida.
What you got? What you got?
My attitude toward the Second Amendment, I support the Second Amendment. Right to bear firearms because the way our government's going these days, we're going to need them to protect ourselves from the supporters of the Second Amendment.
It's quite literally a justification from the NRA.
Catch 22, libs.
What's your question, boss?
Checkmated.
I think I asked you this a couple years ago, but
Yeah.
now for the modern candidates that are running for either for the Georgia Senate or even the Florida Senate or Texas, what would they cosplay as at DragonCon?
Oh, that's a good one. Ted Cruz is apparently a big Simpsons fan. So I think, I mean, he would
You
be
think
a
he'd show up
bad.
in brown face as Apu?
Not gonna do better than that. I would say Beto. Who do you think Beto would go as?
I mean, definitely Marge, and he would rock it, and everybody would love him for it.
We found your talent. This is amazing.
I'm glad to find out I have one.
Holy shit. Yeah, I don't know. Brian Kemp would go as Larry the Cable Guy, and Stacey Abrams would go as Chuck Tingle. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, she get the karate gi and bag over her head that says, "Please respect my privacy."
All right, who's got a question? There we go, one over here.
So, does Brian know about the Whataburger implications of the Beto cruise?
So this is the other thing that the Ted Cruz campaign just slammed the Beto campaign with was, hey, are you aware, Beto, if that is your real name, that your logo bears a striking resemblance to a regionally famous and immediate trigger for good feelings of a Whataburger barbecue sauce?
That's brilliant. Also brilliant is I noticed that his logo is white text on a black background, which takes it out of the red blue, that short circuits the red blue trigger. So it would I would imagine they were aiming to seduce, like you said, soft Republicans who might be swayed
We just
over.
don't like, they don't like
they
Trump.
don't like Ted Cruz.
I mean, because remember, that's the thing to remember about Texas politics is that Trump lost that primary to Ted Cruz. So it's there was still a latent feeling of fuck Donald Trump in Texas.
Yeah.
Where, that needs to be paid attention to. We got another question. Oh.
It was a good throw. Just
It was a good throw. It went off the fingertips.
No, I didn't play football. Why now in hindsight do you regret voting third party?
Hold on. I don't regret.
Not regret, but have misconceptions.
Motherfucker, this panel is not the trial of Brian Brushwood. I don't regret anything, but I do consider whether or not there is I am asking myself whether I love gridlock, a real tangible thing that can be achieved, more than I love the ideals of the libertarian third party. One is a real thing that I can have. The other is something I know will never ever happen, but I get the smoke superiority of it. That's the question I'm dealing with. Here we go. Somebody else had a question. Here we go in the back. Oh. It was a great throw. It was a great throw.
It was. No.
It was a good throw.
There was a man in a stovepipe hat. Please, go ahead.
It's my Lincoln cosplay. So.
I thought you were the other famous person in a stovepipe hat. Sorry.
The Babadook.
Sorry, sir. Go ahead. What's your name?
I'm Mark.
Mark?
Yeah.
Thank you for asking a question.
Yeah. So, who do you think's more likely to win in the gubernatorial race in Florida compared to Georgia? Stacey Abrams or Gillum? Because that's just it's like this Bernie wave that's coming in, and they're similar kind of population.
Yeah. I am always on maybe the more conservative, as in I don't want to be wrong, not conservative in terms of my way of thinking, that usually the center holds, and everybody, because politics is such a hoopla and you're ultimately always trying to sell some brand of soap flakes, there's a lot more this person has a chance to win than those people actually winning. It's very rare. So if I were to put money on both those races, I'd probably bet the white guy in the Republican Party, because the white guy in the Republican Party almost by rule does win those races. Now, that's not to say that this isn't impossible. Both of them, well, I haven't seen the polls from the Gillum race yet, but he's 9 points ahead, 5 points ahead. Well, I mean, there's been a Republican governor in Florida, I think, my entire life. So it's certainly has been held there. I mean, hell, Florida's had a Republican governor that then later became a Democrat. Like that is how
that's
Republican
more likely
that's been.
than a Democrat being elected.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
all right. All right, who's got a question?
Yeah.
It's a good throw.
I just wanted to know what your opinions are on the recent Madden tournament shooting and how certain politicians.
Yeah, are you for it? Are you for it or against it?
No, more so.
Also, what's up with the new control screens?
More so about how certain politicians are coming out because apparently this is the 90s again. How it's video games are causing violence. This is clearly the issue.
I mean, I guess this time they're finally right. I mean, clearly the guy was upset about the video game.
Why is it Madden?
So
Why
obviously, let's go ahead and number one, everybody be silent for 2 seconds as I say that was an awful tragedy, and we are in no way making fun of anything that's happened. That being said, politicians say dumb stuff. We are very obviously on a lot of levels, culturally and societally, in a shift of what matters. Like there's been just a critical mass of, I think, younger people with different ideals that now have finally kind of tipped what we care about in a lot of ways. I think that saying that video games cause violence on a large-scale thing has not only been so thoroughly debunked, but also I don't really know if it holds a lot of weight, even in staid political circles, when everybody, in an age where, like, Marco Rubio being, like, one of the most, like, dunked-on establishment Republican guys also knows Tupac lyrics and is friends with Pitbull. We're just beyond these darn kids and their video games are rotting their brain. I don't know why that was a pirate for whatever reason. Those darn kids. Arr, vote for me.
Who's got a question? Here we go. The Riddler does.
So the lid's off on celebrities running for president.
Yes.
So what's the best Democrat-Republican race of celebrities for 2020?
Like realistically, or if I were like booking a wrestling match?
Both.
Well, if we're booking a wrestling match, it's The Rock versus The Rock. But I would say most likely Schultz.
It was a bad throw. It was a bad throw.
Schultz from Starbucks is almost certainly going to run. We will find out whether or not. I mean, here's the thing that people don't realize about Donald Trump is that like 99% of famous or rich people that run for president realize it's a bad idea at about the second stop in the same day where they have to shake everybody's hand at a state fair and some random dude is like coughing into his hand and then wiping it on his face and like trying to stick his fingers in his mouth, and he has to be like, thank you, vote for me. Because rich and famous people are like, no, good God, get away from me. I have people to keep these people away from me at all times. But politics are not like that. You have to do it. Donald Trump is built for that like level of handshaking going around. We'll find out. Like now what is assured to happen is that there will be a lot of rich, famous people running for president. That's going to happen. Because rich, famous people, almost to a person, think Donald Trump's an asshole. So if they're rich and famous...
Just the rich and the famous, huh?
It's how the other half lives. If they're looking at that and they're like, oh my, that dude that I knew, like, that was like we were at the party and he was just like, he wouldn't shut up and I had to leave, like, because, God, Donald, him? I mean, what about me? What about big, smarter than him, richer than him, me? I can do it. So, yeah, I would say...
I support your candidacy. I think you've got a really good point.
I don't know. I mean, all the really interesting celebrities are probably more on the Democratic side. So I would love to see a George Clooney versus Schultz versus
I would love to
Iger.
see George Clooney versus George Clinton.
There we go.
No?
No, I'm with it.
All right.
Yeah, the atomic dog gaffe that'll happen.
The onion joke about the get up versus get down sides of Funkadelic Parliament.
All right, who's got a question? Anybody got a question? We have another question up front. Good throw.
So while I was waiting for the elevator, there was a TV playing CNN with no sound or subtitles, and I just saw something about like 100,000 pages of missing paperwork in a Supreme Court vacancy and some shit about the Donald Trump like, what's happening? My nails are too long and I couldn't get at my phone to type in search.
Can we applaud this honesty? That's amazing. That's amazing.
And by the way, for the audio listeners, that was Catwoman. So this is about Kavanaugh, the new Supreme Court nominee. The big fight that is happening right now are when he was in the George W. Bush administration, there were a lot of memos that he wrote that are now being sealed. So the opposition, the Democrats effectively can't stop this by themselves. They need for this race to become...
Sorry, man. Yeah, when you mentioned Parliament, suddenly...
all of a sudden, Brick House by the Commodores started playing very softly, and both Brian and I were helpless to the boogie. Just letting it all hang out. So... right now...
So you're for it?
The only way... I'm not for it.
Or are you against it?
The only way that the Democrats can stop Kavanaugh is if they make this a gigantic scene. Like, it needs to be Donald Glover walking back into the room, community where it's all on fire level scene for Republicans to say, no, we don't want a Republican-nominated Supreme Court person. So they need to make this appear, for whatever you think of it, they need to frame it in a way that is as dishonest and cheating as possible, so the polls wind up showing that Republicans who are shy to vote for him or shy to confirm him are like, no, I don't know. Maybe we should release the papers. And by the way, the papers will have something in there that people don't like, and then they'll make a big deal out of that. And then eventually, hopefully on the Democratic side, they stop him from getting appointed.
So you're against it?
You son of a bitch. Who's got a question? We have a question down there in the back there.
All right, get ready.
And apparently Brick House is back on. Let your freak flag fly, sir. It's fine.
This is as much of a question to the community of politics. Let's say a friend of mine downloaded something where you download audio from YouTube, YouTube to MP3 converter.
Sure.
It installed a virus that redirects you to different things right now, you know, women in the area who mysteriously want to have sex with you and things. And
are you asking for tech support?
No, wait, this goes into politics. And also sends you to a website that tells you the Russians are not hacking your computer, and any legislation against it is bad. The website is called Trigtent, Trigtent, and I don't know what's up with that. If anybody in the community knows what's up, it has like all these fake names, fake pictures.
I am so glad you mentioned this because I had a similar problem. I was trying to check out of this fantastic online store. They got spy gear. They got like magic tricks. And I was trying to use promo code Jury's Great, and it didn't work. But on behalf of scamstuff.com, is $100 enough for your opening buy? I don't know. It sounded like a weird plug.
I still don't know what the question was. That you got directed to a website called, I'm not going to repeat it because it
Scamstuff.com.
Scamstuff.com. So you got directed, you pass him back the magic orb, the Tesseract.
Which it pretended to be a news website that said the Russians are not hacking your things and the Democrats are trying to do all this stuff with fake news.
Okay.
And it's obviously a fake website.
So you think because your friend, instead of downloading the very easily available MP3s that are syndicated through every podcasting platform, your friend decided to consume this show by pirating a free video off YouTube and got a virus for his troubles that goes to trigtent.org, cool.
I mean, if your question is whether or not there's an orchestrated campaign by the Russians to hack elections, then will let history be the judge?
All right, we have another question.
Okay, at the end of your show, you're fond of saying, I'm just going to talk into this block while I'm talking to you. At the end of the show, you're fond of saying there's some shows that talk about politics, others talk about politics, and some, even other ones talk about politics. This is the only one that talks about all three.
Yes.
What are all three?
This is very easy. I mean, obviously, politics is about kind of the numbers, right? You know, and then politics is more about the passion and the excitement, and then politics is about pointing a shotgun at a minor because he wants to touch your daughter's titty. Nobody else hits the full trifecta. Some might do one, some might do two, but we're the only one that, well, I'll save it for the end of the show because it's my literal ending tag.
Do we, you set up something that I don't know. How much time do we have? Is this a 90-minute or a 60-minute panel?
No, I think we're going to wrap up in 12 minutes
You got
left.
12 minutes?
Yeah.
All right,
Wait. What else did I set up?
Something involving pronouns and nouns.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. We're going to end with something that I've never done before. And luckily Brian's here because I had actually forgotten about it. Do you guys, how many of you are familiar with the fact that I do an impression of Alex Jones? This is an idea I had 2 nights ago. There is a high likelihood that this is going to end terribly, but Brian Brushwood is going to walk around and ask people, and by the way, Brian will be right up here, so if you have an idea, you can run up and just sign, or just write down a noun, any noun, right? And I will start an Alex Jones monologue, and Brian will hand me these nouns, and we're going to see how far we can go with it. Ladies and gentlemen, this will be the inaugural edition of ImprovWars.com. So let's begin, shall we? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to ImprovWars.com. Very obviously, we are under attack. This is something that we need to focus on at a major level. If we don't look our enemies in the eye and say, pills, why are you giving us pills? Then we will never be free, ladies and gentlemen. This is very obviously a Chi-Com, CNN, MSNBC, Hanna-Barbera. This is all documented on ImprovWars.com. You know, the other day, I've been reading a lot. I was reading about a buffalo. Do you know the habits of a buffalo? Buffalo grazes, it walks out, it goes to somewhere else, and then it says, I remember where I was before. You want to know why? And this is something that I have read extensively on. I read a lot. I am very learned. It's because E.T. was a funded and executed plot by the globalist agenda to make sure that we stayed on telecommunications that we did not need anymore. Robots. Robots are coming to get us too. Now you might think that maybe robots are your friends. I have an iRobot, it cleans up my floor. Every once in a while I gotta empty it because the dustbin's too full. No. You are letting the wolf into your door, ladies and gentlemen, and it will be a boathouse in here if we do not make sure that we get our boats in a row. Why are you going to have your boats all over the harbor, folks? Why are you going to have your boats there? If you're going to have your boats all over the harbor, you need to make sure that you go to improvwars.com/store and pick up your copy of William Shatner. Folks, we have seen So many William Shatners. We've only selected William Shatners that are there for free-thinking, libertarian Christian families. Folks, if you've seen William Shatner's other places, I'm telling you, this is not what you need. He is William Shatner, pure, 100%.
I'm sorry,
William
we're up
Shatner.
against a hard break. We need to go to a sponsor.
Fuck tent. So Hillary's emails. Can you imagine what those emails were talking to each other about? Like a drunk British shark. These emails were just all over the place. I was working out this morning. Yeah, just trying to get my normal pump in. I've been setting PRs on the reg. And I was thinking about the insidious, awful, vampiric, left-wing globalist agenda. And it reminded me of Hearthstone. If you're gonna play Control Mage, post the ice block nerf. You're not gonna have a good time. Wake up, America. This is a tempo mage meta. If you are not utilizing all the spell damage, then we are gonna find ourselves covered in warlocks. But enough about Huma Abedin. That was a joke Elon Musk told me. After all, folks, it is a rainbow, feminist agenda, zombies, blueberry, Duracell batteries, climate change. And if we don't fill this cup with liberty and freedom, then Mark Zuckerberg is going to have his way. That's it, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, Justin Robert Young!
Folks, let's go ahead and get it one more time. Some shows, they talk about politics. Some shows talk about politics, and I saw one the other day that I swear to God talked about politics. But this is the only show that does what? Talks about all three. Thank you very, very much, DragonCon. Have a great afternoon.
These are really good counterfeit $100 bills.